Hello and welcome back to Jarvis Johnson Gold, the premium channel that is free. It is free. But if you're watching this, you're premium and alone. Just me. 6-1, by the way. I need to talk about a dumb show that I was baited into watching when I saw its stupid trailer.
I have dated guys who are my age because it was the right thing to do, and it didn't work out, obviously.
This is dumb because one, it's an anecdote with a small sample size, and two, you could say this about anything. For years, I've been driving on the right side of the road because it was the right thing to do. And I'm still getting into accidents. Coming this summer, going left. And it's just me driving against traffic. I'd tune in.
It may seem crazy, but here you'll be dating and even committing without ever knowing how old your partner is.
For years now, Netflix has been scraping the bottom of the barrel for more cheap ways to produce background content that you can watch on your second screen. And hey, no judgment. You might be doing that to me right now. And I thank you for it. You're premium. That was me tipping my invisible fedora. For reality TV, this means new half-baked shows from the creators of your favorite old half-baked shows. I've talked entirely too much about Love is Blind, a show that still 10 years later, it hasn't been 10 years, but it feels like it. It's like 6. All these years later, is still calling itself a social experiment. And it's been so long that at this point, we should give Nick Lachey a PhD. That's Dr. Lachey. Mr. Dr. 98 Degrees. He's from a boy band, by the way. Did you guys know that? Today, I'm going to talk about Netflix's newest undercooked dating show, Age of Attraction, which is a terrible name that is putting me on a list for saying it. So I will hereforth be calling it Love is Age Gaps. Love is Blind follows 30 some odd singles who are down on their luck in dating because of dating apps or whatever. They're picked to live in a house. Boys and girls are separated. They go into pods where they can't see each other. They fall in love without seeing each other. Then they propose, which feels like maybe a little too soon. They then are engaged. They go to live together to simulate a normal life, culminating in whether or not they get married at the end, at the altar. I think they pay them more money to show up at the altar, so you get some yeses and you get a lot of nos. And eventually the relationship doesn't work out. But despite the high failure rate, there have been a couple of Love is Blind babies born, usually due to the fact that after filming, they meet a person that they can see and fall in love with them normal style. But hey, the show isn't horrible, and that's my endorsement. Love is Old follows 40 people of vastly different ages down on their luck in love because dating apps, you know, they are picked to live in a house / resort type thing where they go on dates with a partner where they can do anything except ask their age. Ooh. Eventually they decide whether or not they're going to continue dating by going to the promise room where they can reveal that despite looking 25, they're actually 26. Then they live together for a bit, lie to the cameras about how compatible they are, and part ways with a few more Instagram followers. Full season isn't fully out yet, but I have watched the first tranche of episodes. I'm trying to make tranche a thing, and I've got a lot to say. Up top, I want to give a little note about spoilers because I will be spoiling some aspects of the show. They make a big deal about hiding the ages. I need to be able to talk about the ages. I'm not going to spoil everyone's age, but and the show is worth watching if you like steaming piles of garbage. But hey, we call it trash TV for a reason, okay? That's not a moral shortcoming to like the show, all right? I sat and watched it before I knew I was making content because that's the kind of shit I like. Also, the ages are only a mystery for the first couple of episodes. It's also they can do the reveal in the promise room, which is their version of like when they see each other for the first time in Love is Blind. This show, by the way, is showrun by one of the Love is Blind people and another person from Temptation Island, which is a show I haven't talked about on YouTube, but I do watch. But before we get into that, we have a brief word from today's sponsor, Bombas. When I'm at home relaxing, it's important to maximize my comfort. Everyone knows me for how comfortable I am. And Bombas works very hard to make sure their socks, underwear, and t-shirts are as comfortable as possible. Not to mention slippers. I love Bombas Sunday slippers because not only do they have a soft Sherpa lining, they also have a hard bottom sole that supports my arches when I'm doing chores around the house, such as heating up my Dino Nuggies, and my new air fryer. And I love knowing that Bombas donates their top-selling clothing items to shelters all around the US. One purchased equals one donated, and thus far they have donated over 150 million clothing items to those in need. And one of the other best parts is there's a 100% happiness guarantee, free returns, and free exchanges for any reason. Bombas now offers international shipping, so in addition to the US, they now ship to over 200 countries. So if you haven't been able to purchase Bombas products in the past, they haven't been able to ship to you, check again because that might have changed. Feel good and do good with Bombas, knowing your purchase is helping people out. New customers will get 20% off of their first purchase at bombas.com by using promo code Jarvis at checkout. That's me. Thanks again to Bombas for sponsoring this video. Now back to the video. The show starts off with many of the contestants arriving by tiny plane. I looked up where they filmed this, and there's no reason to use the tiny plane other than the shot, but because that's how you add production value. I feel like what they actually did was fly these people via regular plane into the major airport near this resort and then bust them up to the resort. It would be very impractical if you needed 40 little planes to transport all of your contestants. After all the tiny planes have landed, we have little confessionals of people describing to us why dating someone their own age hasn't worked.
When you tell people your age, they put a stigma to that. Why does it matter how old I am? It's what I feel like. It's my vibe, it's my energy, it's who I am as a person.
Okay, but it's a little bit also how old you are, like within reason, right? Like, I think that that's like one of the core issues with the show is like, you're making it a bigger deal, I think, than anyone else is, as long as you're not being creepy, I think is maybe the point.
Who I am as a person. Age is just a number.
Stop, don't, hey, cut that out. Everyone starts arriving to the resort. I looked it up, it's in British Columbia. It is not Big St. Jimmy's or whatever. It's not a private island. It is a creek, which is fine. And it looks nice. You didn't need the little plane. Everyone's mixing, excited to be on TV. And that's when our venerable hosts show up and make very big promises they won't be able to keep. They use the term social experiment, etc. You know the drill. Enter Nick Viall. You may know him from The Bachelor. He has a big podcast called The Viall Files. He's very bad at this. Despite the fact that he's had a podcast for many years, he is not good at hosting, but luckily he is joined by his partner, 27-year-old Natalie Joy, 18 years his junior, and she is also bad at hosting the show. They're perfect for each other.
You've all agreed to come here to take an unconventional approach to find love.
I watched Nick and Natalie's introduction so many times, and I just think the editing of this sets them up to fail. Or maybe whatever they filmed in the room on that day just didn't work and they had to do a bunch of magic in the editing bay. Because every time Natalie says something, they build up her sentence and create a long pause where the music drops out. And it seems like the end of her sentence is going to be super dramatic and important. And then it's just a basic fact that everyone already knows.
It may seem crazy, but here you'll be dating and even committing without ever knowing how old your partner is.
What? I was wondering what Grandpa was doing over there. He's here to date me?
To answer the question, does age matter when it comes to love?
Once again, that's the show. It's also kind of the same thing you just said. We're here to answer the question, is Jarvis going to order a sandwich? Planning on it, yeah. He's going to order a sandwich without ever knowing what's on his sandwich. No, I'm not. Right, sorry.
Does age matter when it comes to love?
It didn't for us.
It didn't for us. He had to have said more stuff, or they asked for a separate take. Like, there's just no way this is what it was like in the room. My first impression was that they were really bad at this, but now I think it might be the editing.
For us, age is just a number.
I hate this phrase. It's not just a number. It's also how old you are. It's a number with a meaning. I don't understand why describing what something is absolves it of any importance. Yeah, sorry, you did some crimes. We're gonna have to arrest you. Arrest is just a word. Handcuffs are just things. Also, I feel like the most famous use of this phrase is in the Aaliyah song, Age Ain't Nothing But a Number, produced by adult R. Kelly when he was married to teenage Aaliyah. So it's not exactly the memory that I want to evoke. But hey, song is just music. People have different perspectives on age gap relationships and what's appropriate. But I do think age gaps can be fine and healthy within reason amongst responsible adults. None of that nuance is present in the show. They make it weird on purpose. Nick and Natalie, congrats. It seems like you guys have really found something that works for you, and that's a beautiful thing. but that's why you're hosting the show, to give a shred of normalcy to whatever this is.
My age range is evil. Like, no one is safe.
Stop that. This is the kind of guy that's good for TV and bad for society.
I could date you or your mom, and I'm open to both.
Leave my mom out of this. You're not her type.
During your time here, you'll choose who you want to date based on attraction, compatibility, and chemistry.
You were just describing the regular Earth.
The only question you can't ask
It's got to be how old you are, because that's like the whole premise of the show.
is how old are you?
Yeah, that makes sense. This section is made even more awkward by the contestants responding to definitely something else, because none of their responses to anything the hosts say makes sense. Let's look at how the contestants respond to what Natalie just said.
Is how old are you?
Dang, y'all look good. Yeah.
Dang, y'all look good, yeah? She had to have said that in response to, we have an 18-year age gap, which was minutes ago. And the editor was like, I know where I'll put it. So then they describe what happens when, if you like the person you want to move forward, you take them to the promise room, which is a special room with a coffee table in it. And there's rings, meaningless promise rings that you put on, and then you share your age.
All that's left is revealing the one thing you've been keeping secret.
My age? Why do you keep pausing?
Your age.
Yeah, that's what, okay.
And if you still want to be together after that, you'll leave this retreat as a couple.
Oh.
Oh, a couple? Like two of us in love. Sorry, I thought this was Top Chef. Then they go on speed dates, and I can't talk about all of this because most of these people you'll never see again, so it doesn't matter.
So what brought you here?
Probably.
This guy's only in this one scene, and this has to be why. And we start to see couples form here and there. And I'm going to talk about a couple of those. I don't have time to talk about all of them. The first couple I want to talk about is Teresa and John. They're kind of the protagonist couple we see go through this show. We see Teresa in a bunch of the early clips. She has that clip from the trailer. They're the couple that I saw on the viral clip that made me even want to watch this show. I think it must be because they make it far in the show, and these shows like to give us something to latch onto so that we can follow a couple all the way through. Teresa is 54. I think she looks great for her age. I also don't think it's a surprise that she's 54. She's a stylist from Illinois, and she hits it off with John, who is a 27-year-old software salesman, I guess, from Miami, who thinks he looks like a royal.
Everyone says I look like Prince Harry.
I could see that.
So my joke
Yes.
is that I'm looking for Meghan minus the family drama.
Side note, it's not Meghan's fault. Teresa tells us that finding a guy in his 20s would be shocking. The reason being that she has 3 children in their 20s, one of whom is older than John is now. He's 29.
My oldest is 29 and my daughter's 25 and then my youngest is 22. So a guy in their 20s would be really like shocking.
If this was going to be an issue, Teresa, I don't know why you chose to be on this show. But that's the thing. That's why age isn't just a number, right? It represents things. It's typically the type of thing that you'd talk about. But people on the show are weird about the kids that they have. All of these couples have kids involved in some way or another, and they all handle it differently. In general, though, they're pretty boring from an entertainment standpoint. Despite the fact that she's in Illinois and he's in Florida, she at the very least has adult children and has the means to move to Miami if that's something that she wants to pursue. And I assume that him working in software sales means that he's not going door to door to sell the software. So they go on dates, hit it off, decide to go to the promise room. I think they're our first promise room couple, and they're in the trailer, so it makes sense. Teresa and John, their relationship, it continues to evolve and flourish over some small number of days, I have to imagine, because it's not like Love is Blind where you're committing to marriage. You're just committing to continue dating, so it doesn't seem like it should be that big of a deal, and it's kind of just up to production. Like, this whole thing is jazz. Like, the promise room itself is ridiculous. Every time a couple goes into the promise room, it's shot like they're about to go to the altar. It looks like they're getting married. They have them dressing up. They have all these slow-mo shots, B-roll of them getting ready, talking about their insecurities, of revealing their true selves, their age. To be honest, it's a little boring.
If age ruined this, it would hurt. I've been in that situation before and it hurts, and I don't want to be in that situation again.
If age ruins this, it would hurt, and I've been there before. Were you on season 0 of this show? Because I didn't know you were allowed to have age gaps outside of Netflix, actually.
Everyone thinks I'm significantly older than I am. It's not like 1 to 2 years. Like, oh, I think I'm gonna shock her.
I kind of feel like these people have lived in a bubble where maybe people have told them that they look older than they are or younger than they are, because they all treat their age reveal like it's dropping some gigantic truth bomb.
He's gonna be so shocked.
I'm 27 years old.
Yeah, I mean, that seems about right. I don't want to be rude. I just don't know if it needed like sinister bass drum.
Do you know how old I am? Oh my God.
No, that's kind of the entire thing about the show. There's really not much to the show other than me not knowing that piece of information.
Okay. I'm 54.
His response is so, I like almost feel like that's not really his response.
I'm 54.
Yes. Perfect.
And that's it. There you go.
Yeah, she's like even confused by it. She's like, and that's that. That's the answer. That's how old I am.
Got your seatbelt on?
Yeah. Oh shit.
And then the next thing he says is, got your seatbelt on, because he's about to drop a gigantic bomb of information, okay? He's going to reveal that this face is 27 years old. Wow, I can't believe it.
I am 27.
Oh my God. Oh wow. Seriously?
Now, in her defense, she has a kid older than him, so her reaction is a lot more understandable than his, like...
Before that, I gave birth to my oldest, so he's 29. My son is older than you.
Does that scare you?
Yeah, his expressions scare me. I don't get it, man. But that's them. This was all well and good for me until I saw in one of the previews that Teresa doesn't want to share how old he is with her children. And it's like, if that was going to be an issue, I feel like you could have foreseen that before deciding to come on this show.
So can you tell us about his age?
No. I mean, I can, but I don't want to.
So definitely lost a little bit of respect on that.
The biggest thing that scares me is the outside perception of everybody in the universe.
That's actually a thing that prevents us from doing all kinds of stuff in society, because otherwise we'd all be sociopaths. We'd do everything selfishly. Now, I understand, right? Like, there's a balance between the internal and the external, like, locus of control. They're fine. They're over. In my book, it's like, whatever, you're over 25, I don't care. But it is strange. I don't have 29-year-old children, but if I did and I knew that they wouldn't be able to look me in the face if I told them how old their new dad is, then I would probably not pursue that relationship. And again, they're adults, so it's really just everyone kind of being weirded out in reaction to them. So whatever. The show does kind of trap these people, though, because now you do have these feelings and you're like trying to navigate that. And that's what makes for good television, baby. But they're the boring protagonists. So let's get a little more chaotic. Enter Libby and Andrew. Libby is a 22-year-old social media manager from San Diego. Your typical American 22-year-old girl. She's a little awkward.
Libby, nice to meet
David,
you.
nice to meet you.
David's my dad's name.
And then you've got Andrew. He is a 38-year-old bar owner from Baltimore. And he's your typical, I don't want to grow up. I want to be in this fraternity forever. You know what I mean? He, interestingly, has 2 children. He has a 14-year-old and a 12-year-old. And you would think that that would add some maturity to his character. But I think he still wants to party and he still wants to date young.
You know, for me, it's been fun to date younger. Healthy, I don't know. Probably not. Fun, yes.
The show paints Libby as your classic 22-year-old girl. She loves Taylor Swift. She's just, trying to have fun, not deterred by the fact that Andrew has children. Also, it's clear that she doesn't really know what that entails. I do think that this is a little bit different if, she's 25 and he's 38 with no kids. I think that the fact that there's like 14 and 12-year-old children in this equation really complicates it, because it puts the kids in a weird position in my mind if he's not dating intentionally. He seems like he's still committed to the party lifestyle. I guess that's maybe why he owns a bar. That's like the graduated adult version of being a bro, just buying the bar that you love to hang out at and then continuing to hang out there. Libby, and I do want to give her the grace of getting the dits cut of this show, because I think the show is like, I need to turn these people into archetypes. And so she's going to be the classic 22-year-old airhead. And I'm sure that there's tons of depth to her. However, Libby sometimes says things that are like, why did you say that?
Do you want to know how old they are? 14 and 12.
I think I might need a little bit of time to reflect on it. I'm not that far from 14.
You know, like, what is that? Like, I get what you're trying to say, for sure. But I really do hope developmentally your brain is a little further along than that, you know? Relatably, she does say she's going to take some time and reflect on that. And it doesn't seem to bother her. They continue, or she didn't think about it, and they continue to progress things, and then they decide to take it up another notch and head to the promised room. Now, if you were dating someone who had a 14-year-old child, would you imagine the ages that he could be? Oh, if he had the kids at 20 years old, 20 plus 14, 34. Okay, like maybe he's in his mid 30s. But that's kind of early for a kid, maybe. So, you know, could be like a high school thing, like accident that happens. Maybe if you're 24, 25, then you get into the mid to late 30s. Just the kind of things you may think about if you were on the age gap show where you want to know someone's age. The age reveal is a shock to Libby.
There's only one more thing for us to do. I am 38 years young.
Andrew's age reveal is the perfect encapsulation of how he sees himself. I am 38 years young. That's disgusting. There's nothing wrong with being 38. There is something wrong with saying 38 years young. I can't explain what it is. But on the other hand, if he was to just lead with, I'm 38 years young. Hi, I'm Andrew and I'm 38 years young, I could probably guess that he owns a bar. You know, typically it's your Libbies of the world who are given shit for the vocal fry in their voice. Andrew has a voice that sounds like he's giving an anonymous tip to the cops.
I am 38 years young.
I am 32 years young.
Don't know if I was expecting 38. Definitely
Did
a
you
little
think I was
shocked.
older?
No, I thought you were younger. Like, I thought you were a lot younger.
Libby, this one's just on you just a little bit, okay? I'm sorry, but this was like an open book test. The answers were in front of you. I'm concerned with Andrew. He's the one who's talked about coming on the show because he has a tendency to date younger. And I thought that that was implying that he would, you know, try to break those norms that he has instead of like shooting fish in a barrel. Like he's like, yeah, they rounded up a bunch of young people for me to date. Yes.
I am 22.
It looks like he's trying to hold in a smile. Like he's excited, which is weird, man. I don't know. I think that that's the thing. It's like, if you just don't make it weird, then it's not nearly as weird. But you told us that you tend to date young. And then what is this?
I am a little shocked about Andrew's age, honestly. Don't know what I was thinking it was, but I don't think I thought it was 38.
I've said enough about this. So they lock it in. They're committed. They're off to go to a sorority formal or something. The last couple that I want to talk about is the most interesting to me, Jorge and Vanell. First, we have to start with Vanell because Vanell is a 27-year-old product manager from Texas. She seems very sweet. She seems very traditional. She has decided to embark upon this journey of celibacy that started a couple of years ago. She has maybe become more religious, or her relationship with religion 2 years ago led her to make this decision. And she is upfront with her partner about respecting that. Now, Jorge, my dog, absolute freaking ledge, dude. Okay, so Jorge, he's fucking 60. He's old as shit. He is a 60-year-old fuckboy, criminal defense attorney who is like bad to the bone, man. Which is a song I think he had recognized from the past. And when I mean bad to the bone, I mean, I think he's a bad guy. Unfortunate, because he's very well dressed. He probably does cool work. He's not the nicest to Vanell. Their primary conflict is that he's just too fucking fly. No, his primary conflict is, to her face, he's like, hey, no problem. I respect the decision you've made for your faith, this mission of celibacy. You want to remain celibate until you're married. Respect it. incredible.
I've been celibate for almost 2 years now. Didn't make a promise to wait till marriage.
Is it something that I will respect with you? Of course I'll respect it with you.
Here's another thing he says. Kids, can't have them unless I'm married, you know? And I'm not married right now, but when I'm married, kid.
I don't know if you have kids, if you want kids.
You want to know if I want kids? Yes, but I'm not going to have kids outside of a marriage.
Mm-hmm.
Now, would you believe that Jorge does have kids and kind of completely sidesteps that? Kind of implies that he doesn't have kids. And then also, when push comes to shove, doesn't want to respect Vanelle's celibacy. So you can see why he's such a fucking cool guy. But all of that conflict happens once they leave the promise room. Up until then, it's like sunshine and rainbows, and Vanelle keeps talking about how her dad doesn't want her to date someone older than 40, and she really hopes he's not older than 40, and she just does not know that he's 60. And so it's a big reveal. I am on record texting someone, Jorge is almost definitely 60. And I guess that she was 27. They can't fucking fool me for shit. I would be so good at this show if the show was not about love and it was instead about pointing at people and telling them how old they are. And before we move forward, I need to talk about the editing again. This is my live reaction to watching Jorge and Vanelle go into the promise room, which again is a place that they just say their ages.
This shit is cut. This is cut like a Love is Blind wedding. Why are they doing this? They're going to a room. They're going to a table to exchange numbers. Why is he in the woods?
So then in the promise rooms, of course, Vanelle shares that she's 27. Jorge reacts.
I am. I'm 27.
What? You're 27?
Another guy who's just happy. He's just happy to find it out. I don't know, man. I mean, maybe he's surprised. This is another opportunity to mention that he has kids around her age that he does not take. Then we get into Jorge's reveal, which despite the fact that I could tell that he was 60, we can't all be me. So it's the most shocking reveal in the show.
I really don't know if you're ready for this one. You ready? I'm 60.
This is like the only age reaction in this show that I don't think is hammed up for the camera, because it is a big age. Like, why they even let him on this show?
Like, you are a dope human being to me.
You're a dope human being to me. Loker genuinely. I'm 60.
27, wow. A lot of different thoughts.
Ew. See, this is what I mean about Jorge. Like, he says a lot without saying a lot. You know what I'm saying? That's the lawyer in him.
Jorge's literally the same age as my parents.
And that's cool. That's actually awesome, I think.
But to answer your question, yes, I wouldn't mind having kids. If you're my wife, well, then that's what we're talking about.
Right, so about that. One, you already have kids. And the way you answer this question implies that you don't. It is funny to have a 60-year-old man talking like a 23-year-old guy who just like graduated college. Like, I mean, I don't know, like what kids someday? Yeah, for sure. I mean, I have my whole life ahead of me, honestly. Who knows what the future holds? You're at the end of regulation right now. Hopefully the game goes to overtime, but now is not the time for a child. This man saw the news about Al Pacino having a baby at 84 and said, hold my condom.
Something I really want to discuss with her is my children and their ages, right? So my kids' age are right around the same age as her. I need to see her reaction and how she feels about it.
Yeah, don't you feel like it's a little late though?
Now, here's the thing that we haven't talked about.
Okay.
I have children. And I see your face. Does that bother you? What's going on?
What's going on? It's almost like I've been lying through a mission this whole time. Having trouble understanding the look on your face. You should be happy that I have children that I didn't tell you about.
Last night, I told her, okay, well, so since you miss celibate, you stay on your side of the bed. And she didn't, because she wanted to cuddle. I was like, oh, so now you want to cuddle.
What does he think celibacy is? I mean, maybe this is like a very old school way of looking at it, but just because someone wants to cuddle doesn't mean they want to have sex. And so it's weird to pit those two things against one another. Oh, you don't want to have sex, but now you want to cuddle? Oh, you don't want to get in the pool, but you want to eat a hot dog. Now, if there's anyone who shouldn't have a problem being celibate, it's someone who's on death's door. Bench your dick, bro. Give it a rest.
You can't be like, oh, well, you're doing something, bye, and then miss out on someone who I think is, a
amazing woman. I think it could become a very big issue.
Yeah, me too. I just think it's crazy that you just moved past it so quickly before. It was like a very clear impasse that this person doesn't want to have sex until marriage. You were like, that's actually fine though, because I mean, it's probably just that thing where it's like, I can convince her otherwise. I've had 60 years of conversations. Andy's a lawyer. He probably thinks very highly of his persuasion abilities.
If you're saying you're celibate, but yet we can mess around and do other things, it's not really celibacy. It's really a version of what you think celibacy is.
And then he does this thing, because I guess they've done some sex acts, but not other sex acts, that he's now like debating with her the definition of the word celibacy, as if she's going to go, you got me, let's have sex now. Like, I don't understand what the point of any of this is, because all that matters is like what her boundary is. And he's clearly not comfortable with her boundary. And it is something that they probably could have squashed in the promise room. What is the promise room for if not this, you know?
I don't necessarily think it has anything to do with his age. I think it's just the type of person he is.
I don't even think it's his age. I just think he's a bad person. And that's pretty much the end of their story and the end of the first tranche of episodes of Age of Attraction. I forgot the original name of the show. It's interesting. I mean, the issue with the show is that it's doomed to fail. I mean, our romance dating show slop used to be at least intentional. Love is Blind at least tries to gather people in roughly the same geographic area, whereas this show, people are all over the map. They're filming in Whistler. They had no illusions or delusions about anyone finding love on the show. It's possible, of course, that someone makes it to a reunion still in a relationship, but I just can't imagine these things will last. And if they do, then that's how it is. Sometimes it's a crapshoot. Love. I say this as a single person who hopes his number comes up someday. This show is constantly pushing a narrative to justify its own existence, when in reality, it's just here to capitalize on like age gap discourse. It doesn't look like it was that expensive to make, can show people at their worst moments. So seems like a pretty good bet for Netflix to make. And if you're trying to make money, that is. Okay, bye.